On the other day, we have created a JavaScript action. We created a repository, initialized an npm setup, downloaded and installed the necessary Node modules, then applied the Node.js logic and committed to the repository. The same code has been called from a workflow repository. Everything worked as expected. But there's a slight difference, or we will use an advanced method in an enterprise infrastructure, because the existing code need to be compiled. We have two supporting modules called rollup or versal. Using these two components, we can compile our code and commit it. The beauty is we don't need to separately keep the node_modules or the module folder. So it will compile and pick the necessary modules, and it will be getting it installed at the time of execution. So without wasting much time, let's move on to the video. This is Melvin Satishan, and we have two repositories, js-action, which contains our JavaScript logic, and the practice contains our workflow. So here we will create, or we will initialize our npm init-y. As soon as we initialize this, we have to adjust the settings. Here is going to be, the type is going to be module, so we can import the things in the form of modules. Perfect. So next is npm install. As usual, we used to update the npm packages. Next is npm install @actions/github @actions/core @actions/exec. So these are three GitHub action packages. Additionally, we have to install the compiler. So npm install rollup, then @rollup/plugin -common JS @rollup/plugin -node -resolver. Right. So the necessary packages are available, and if you look at here, we would be able to see the list of packages that has already been installed. We have here the Node modules. Excellent. Our next step is to create a source folder and a distribution folder. So in the same route, we will create a folder called src. Next, we will create a additional folder called dist. So it's a common standard. I'm blindly following the GitHub Actions documentation. In this src, under src, we will put our index.js file. Here we are going to write our logic. So import core from @actions. Okay. Import exec from @exec, then import, what else, core exec GitHub. From @action GitHub. We have those three components. Next, we are going to define the variable here. Let user underscore name equal to car.get input. It's going to be a key value pair format scenario as an options, and the value can be a string. So here we will define our favorite variable username, comma, then we are going to put the parameters here. Required, is it a mandatory parameter? Yes, it's a mandatory parameter. Trim white space, we can trim the white space. That also I prefer to give true. So we have this parameter ready. Next is landscape underscore name. I prefer to pass the landscape as an environment variable so that you will understand that how do we pass the environment variable to a JavaScript action and how do we call it. Also, how do we pass the input to a JavaScript and how we take the output. All right. So here we are going to do core rather than core process.env, and here we will define landscape. Right. So those two parameters we have. Right. Now we are going to core.set output, and the first output value is going to be user underscore name, and the value is going to be user name, and the core dot set output, here it's landscape underscore name, and the value I'll give landscape. Okay, so the output would be registering it into user underscore name and landscape underscore name. Perfect. So this is what is happening. We would be providing username as an input variable and landscape underscore name as an environment variable. So it would be assigning it into user underscore name and landscape underscore name respectively. That value we are passing it into, passing it as an output. Set output method is using for registering the output. Okay, so our index.js part is completed. Next we are going to open another file called rollup.config. So any name you can define, it's not a big deal. rollup.config.js. I'm following what they mentioned in the JavaScript actions documentation. Here is the document. I'll put it in the chat. Kindly go through it so that you will understand much more, and feel free to share your comments or recommendations. In this we have to import certain modules. So import common.js from rollup plugin common.js, then import, this is going to be a method that we are going to import, that is node resolve from @. This is what we need to do. Now we are going to define its basic parameters, right? So we have to give, let's say, or we will go to the configuration document. Here we have to define the configurations. We need input, we need output. So better I will copy this as it is to our configuration file because it's common for everywhere. And input is source index.js we have already defined over there, and we have created a dist directory, but this index.js will automatically get created once our compilation part is completed. So what I will do here is just Control A, Control C, Control V. The file has been saved here. Next we need to compile it. Before we compile, we have to create our action file. Let's complete that as well. In this case, we will create a file called action.yaml. Name is going to be JS action with build. The build can be, what do we say, rollup, because we have to discuss about the Vercel as well. And description is going to be JS action build using rollup. Cool. Then inputs. Here we are going to provide username, and the description is username of the employee. That's it. So next we are going to provide the engine details. Runs here main, it's going to be dist/index.js and using node 20. Cool. So it will use node 20 for the execution and index.js as well, right? Then we have to define our outputs, right? In this outputs, remember that we defined two outputs. One is our, here we go. One is our user underscore name and landscape underscore name. So here user underscore name, and we can provide a nice description. User name output and landscape underscore name, and we have to provide a description. Landscape name output. Cool. So we have everything in place. In this part there's a typo using. Okay, so our action.yaml file also ready. Now what is next? Let's look at the document again. It is saying you have to compile it. So I'll copy this entry here. I'm gonna compile the parameters. Remember that my distribution folder is empty, nothing is there. So I'll do this rollup. Okay, what has happened here is I haven't installed this rollup globally, so that this Node.js doesn't know where this rollup module is available. It's available in this Node modules, right? We will browse this rollup. That should be in Node modules, rollup, dist and bin rollup. This is the location, and if I do --help, it is working. So what we will do here is just copy this file name and put it here, and sorry, I'll mention in this way, so it should work without any issues. Cool. So it is compiling. Now we have here the index.js file and index.js.map and node modules. In this case, if we look at the git ignore, I have put node modules and backup folder in the exclusion list so that this is not going to be committed over there. Then we will commit this to the repository. So I'm freshly gonna commit this repository. Git add dot git commit -m update git tag -a -m, then update, and here we will define v1.5, right? Then git push --follow -tags. So we push the code to our repository, and the tag is v1.5. Let's refresh and see whether it is present or not. Yes, it is present here. Excellent. Now we have to come to our other workflow repository. Let's go to the action file, workflow, and I'm going to create action.yaml. Here name is going to be JS execution, description going to be JS execution, then on when we push something it should execute, then jobs first job name is js-action runs -on Ubuntu latest. Next we have to define the steps. Here checkout actions slash checkout @v4, then hyphen name JS execution uses, and here we will define my organization name, then js-action because our repo name is js-action and v1.5, that is js-action @v1.5, then with here user name is going to be, let's say, Sachin, and we have an environment variable, so env. Here we can define the variable landscape is going to be development. Okay, so everything has been updated here. So we have two variables. Well, one is the action variable, so in action input, which is passing along with the width argument. The environment variable will go as a env, and we are going to commit this and see what is happening. Also, I want to update, or I want to call that as well. Let's do this way. Name print the output. Okay, and here we can define run, and I would say before defining that id js-action out. Okay, so in this action we have already defined this user underscore name and landscape underscore name as an output, right? So that output will go to this js-action out in this particular step, so that we can call it from here. So echo, then the output is dollar double curly brace. So here we are going to do steps dot, so steps dot id, which is js-action out, then dot outputs, right? Outputs, that outputs is js-action is steps is js-action steps, then its id is js-action out, then outputs is this one. Then we will have two parameter, name and landscape name, right? So that we will be defining user underscore name, landscape underscore name. Okay, these two things we are going to print it here. So other than that, everything is set. I'll commit this and see is there any issues, right? Okay, check out, there's a typo in it, so in between we will check one more thing. So check out, I have to update k, that is one finding dist index.js. excellent, that's fine. So actions checkout @v4 and Melvin Satishan /js-action v1.5, these are perfectly fine. I'll save it here. Let's look once again. It's updated well. Landscape is not defined. Well, okay, that's correct. So ENV is landscape development and process ENV landscape. My bad, I have done a small typo here. I have to do underscore name because we have defined here landscape name, but I forgot to define the landscape because it took the value from here, so it must be landscape underscore name. Not a big deal, but remember that we have to compile it again before we commit anything. We will do rollup.config. It has been overwritten, the index.js file. Next we are going to do git add again, git commit again, then tagging part v1.6, then we would be pushing it. Perfect. So it is 1.6. Same thing, we have to update it here. It is 1.6. Excellent. Let us see what's happening here. A small mistake I did it in that environment variable declaration. That was the reason. If you look at it, the output is Sachin, the output is development, because it printed the variable properly, right? Then here if we look at it with Sachin, environment development, so everything is working as expected. So what I was expecting, or what is my goal is, you should be able to pass the variables into a JavaScript action. You should be able to compile it. You should be able to execute it, and then you should assign the output to specific value, and the value must be able to use it in different steps, or even we can use it in different jobs as well. So I don't care, we can create one more job here. So, and this key is JS action, right? I will do output user underscore name is going to be. Here we can define the values dollar in curly brace steps dot, or I will copy this as it is. And I will copy this as well, the landscape name, right? So we have these two outputs, right? Then we would be executing the other job. Here it is JS action. I'm going to mention here as response, right? So it is going to run on Ubuntu latest, and I will mention needs is going to be this JS action. Okay, so JS action is mandatory for this JS response and runs on Ubuntu latest, and steps is going to be. So here again I'll copy this checkout. Excellent. And then we need to do is steps, and we are going to print update or print the value from the previous step. All right, so in this run, and we will do here the output as echo. I'll copy this as it is. Needs.js action outputs username. Now rather than that, we will be starting from here, needs JS action outputs username, because it is already declared here, right? And JS action outputs and that particular value. Same thing, needs .js action outputs username. Again here as well, needs js-action outputs landscape name. So something is missing here, right? It was supposed to be completed there, but never mind, we'll commit and see. So there are two jobs. So first job, it is getting executed. Everything is working. Did it work? Yes, everything worked well. Now the second job is in progress, and it is printing. Did it print the value? Print the value from previous step. Yeah, there are some problems, right? The output is Sachin and process completed with exit code 2, because there is some typo. Line number 2. Yes, I did that mistake. I realized somewhere. So this part is crisp and clear. This is also clean. This is also clean. Okay. Now where is the problem? I did a mistake at this point. I should remove this. If I remove it, this is turned into blue. All our syntax errors are resolved. I'm going to do once again. I'm gonna execute it. Let's see whether it is working as expected or not. Excellent. Now the first action is in progress. It is completely executed. Do we get any error? No, everything is working as expected. So that's it for now. So we have gone through the rollup compiler, but the drawback of this rollup compiler is if we are using Axios module, because Axios module is predominantly for interacting with the APIs. So those modules and all regularly used to conflict with this rollup module. So we will use Vercel for that. In our next session, we will discuss about Vercel. So thank you so much for your time, and I would strongly recommend you to practice rigorously so that things will be right, and please do a logic framework accordingly. Okay, thank you so much again, and this is Melvin Satishan signing off. Bye bye.